Hey now, everybody, it is Drac with DDO Players News, where we talk about the latest in the world of Dungeons & Dragons Online, the tabletop, and beyond. As I said, I'm your host, Drac. Once again, I apologize for the sporadic release of the podcast, Life and Dumpster Fire. If you're a normal listener of the show, that is all you need to know. I am joined tonight, though, by a guest we haven't had on for a while. We have Axel joining us from Axel's. Is it just Axel's DDO YouTube channel?
Yeah, well, the YouTube name, I know, is super creative, right?
Yeah, well,
It's just Axel's DDO channel on YouTube, and then on Twitch, it's Axel Alex K, so Axel Alexk, and that's also the tag on YouTube. It's if you go at Axel Alex K, you'll get to the YouTube channel as well.
Okay, perfect. We're going to talk more about it, but we've had you on, and I was going to look back to see. It's been a long time since we had you on.
Yeah, it's been a few years. Only one time, I think.
Yes, and I've been meaning to try to get you on before this, but this is the perfect opportunity because we have some updates to talk about, and I needed somebody that could actually talk and know what they're talking about when we talk about this update.
Okay, well, I will do my best, sir.
Because I looked at this and I was like, yeah, I'm out. So we will get into that. But just let's jump real quick. We're going to talk about it more later on. Just tell everybody about your Twitch channel and your YouTube channel, because you make a lot of YouTube videos, which is awesome.
So I've been doing DDO YouTube videos since, almost 10 years now, actually. I started in 2014. So yeah, just Axel's DDO channel on YouTube. I do videos on DDO news, different topics, guides, a lot of different things. DDO music covers, just a variety of things.
And I think I told you this the last time you were on, but it still gives me, every time I watch one of your videos, you have the very same lamps that I have. And it gets me every time because I'm thinking, why is my lamp on the TV screen like that? Like, because I have it enough to where it usually doesn't like glare on the TV. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then I finally figured out, I'm like, oh, never mind. He has the same lamp.
Yeah, I think it was like $10 a Big Lots.
Yeah, that's exactly where I got mine too. So.
I remember you mentioned that last time.
Yep, I did. But it still gets me because just the last video you put out, I did the same thing. I had to look and I'm like, his lamps got me again. So there's a fun little Easter egg for you. Next time you watch one of his videos, just think Drac has the very same lamps. Not that you care, but now you know. So let's jump in to why we have you here, and that is Update 62 was released. This is a little older news now, so I'm sure everybody already knows about this, but there might be, some person out there that hasn't heard much about this, but this was released Wednesday, October the 4th. The big thing, I think, of Update 62, of course, was the Night Revels. It is now back. It features some new rewards this year, which I'm going to rant about here in a moment.
Oh, I will join you. I will join you, sir.
We have the Reaper's Steed, which is red, and then there's a spectral pseudo-dragon certificate for your pet, and then the Defender of the Harvest cosmetic armor, the cloak of the autumnal feathers for your cosmetic cloak this year, and then the Harvest Hunter's hat. And then there is some candy that is back has some benefits, but I don't see the point in the candy, to be honest.
Yeah, back with an asterisk.
Yeah, exactly.
Than the last time.
It's not like it used to be. It's basically, it's like a clicky you can do, but I don't know. I don't understand the purpose of the candy.
Yeah, that was not well received for sure. They used to be, so for anyone who's not familiar, they used to be basically a small buff, and they were still a small buff, but it used to last an hour with, I forget, it was like an hour or two cooldown, something like that.
I think it was like an hour, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was hour on, hour off, something like that. But now it's a similar effect, but it only lasts 20 seconds and has a 2-minute cooldown. But there's, I don't know, do you want to get into that now?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead, and then I'm going to rant about something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the forums have been going a little overboard because here's the thing I will say is they're extremely cheap. So you don't have to grind at all hardly to get these. They're just a tiny bit of ingredients. But that said, something like the apple, it gives you a +5 melee power for 20 seconds, but it's a couple second animation long, and it also has restrictions, so you can't use it while you're moving, or it puts it on cooldown. You don't get the effect, I've noticed. In a lot of situations with such a minor buff, it's actually going to be a DPS loss unless you time it so that, like, say you're waiting on some enemies to spawn or from a portal or something. In that case, if you drink it before the fight starts, okay, 5 melee power, fine. But if you drink it in combat, it's going to be a DPS loss because in that 1 or 2 2-second potion drinking animation, you could have swung your weapon a few times. So that's another criticism with it. They're kind of not worth the hassle this year. I mean, you may as well pick them up because they are so cheap, but if you don't get them, it's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah, you're not really missing out. I mean, I might, if I have some ingredients left over, I might get some just to, have them, but...
Yeah, and you may as well because they are, again, super cheap. There's also an effect. I haven't tested this out, but you can't use a bunch of them at the same time. You get some sickness effect that apparently paralyzes you.
Wondered about that, if you could do all of them at once. I hadn't looked on the forums to see if anybody has tried.
No, you can't without getting a penalty. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 at a time or 4. I don't know. I haven't tested it out, but there is some kind of penalty, yes.
And then the other thing, let's talk about the Reaper Steed and the asinine, in my opinion, cost of the steed. If I remember correctly, last year the Reaper Steed, wasn't it like 50 of each ingredients to get the steed?
Something like that. This year it's 240.
It's 240. Yeah. So that is like quite the material cost jump.
Yeah. So basically, you gotta. I think the where you're gonna hit the grind, especially, is that raid. So the spectral dragon.
The dragon. Yeah.
Because that's the only way to get the scales that you need. And if you do it 5 levels over, you'll get the max payout, which I believe is 23 scales.
Yes. Yep.
So you're gonna have to do that 11 times to get it.
Yeah, I did it.
It's quite a lot. I mean, you can get that thing done in 5-6 minutes. 6 minutes, I think I was getting it done this week, but it's still, it's a lot more than last year. I will say, I think the devs did regret making the prior mount so cheap. And another thing I will say, to be fair, there is still the one from last year. It's still available.
Right.
If you want the teal one, it's still really cheap. The other thing is, this event lasts a very long time compared to normal events. It's going for about a month, so you have a lot of time. So if you just run these dungeons a little bit, every few days you run the raid dungeon once, you'll get your items. So
that's the only. The dragon one is the only one that's cut. Like the others, I could probably do in my sleep at this point. The dragon, there's a little bit of it's like you said, you have it down to about 6 minutes, you said?
Yeah,
so
6-7 minutes, something like that.
That's not horrible, but
it's not bad. But if you don't know what you're doing first time, it's going to take you a while to figure out, because it's not just a zerg through. You got to pull a bunch of levers, line up mirrors, do tile puzzle. Especially if you're not doing it 5 levels over, especially, you're going to you have to do more runs.
But I really want that red steed, but dang.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get it yet. I have done the raid 5 times or so at this point in the event. I guess I'll get it, but I don't really care either way.
Right.
It doesn't really jive. It's not that it's ugly or anything. It's fine. It just doesn't jive with the cosmetic looks for my main character.
Right. And see, mine it kind of does, so that's why I'm like, okay, I kind of got it, and plus I like the way it looks, and my favorite color's red, so it's like I got to get this, but then I'm like, oh my god, do I really run this dumb dragon 11 times? We'll see. So that is Night Rebels. It is now back, of course, so jumping game that goes through October 31st. So still got plenty of time. Like Axel said, you can basically run the dragon once a day if you really want to, if you don't want to grind it out, and you'll have plenty of time to do it. But
that is on top of everything else.
Right.
Other things require scales too. Granted, some of the other items like the augments don't require scales, so they're a little easier that way.
Have you noticed too? Maybe it's just me, and I mean, everybody, like, if you've listened to the show ever, like, the RNG hates me, so this is probably par for the course. But have you noticed that the key drop is horrid this year? Or is it just me?
It's very, so if you have bad RNG, I can see that. It's very RNG dependent. So are you talking about in quests or in the graveyard?
In the graveyard.
Okay, so not in standard quests. Yeah, it's, okay, so I ran it quite a bit this past weekend in the graveyard. There was a run, I got 5 keys in one run. There were runs, I got 0 keys.
That's exactly what happened to me this weekend, too.
There's been a lot of players, and this has been suggested for years. I think a lot of players would like to see a guaranteed key drop in that end chest. I think that would be
nice, yeah.
Because it would lower the variance. If they need to nerf the drop rate throughout the rest of the quest to compensate, that's fine. But yeah, the RNG can be a little bit out there, but I don't think it's a problem generally. Just you should. It seemed like I was averaging 1 or 2 keys a run of the graveyard, about 2, I would say. And if you do run regular quests, you should get a decent number of keys as well if you just play the game. But if it depends on the difficulty though, because they are based on champions and when you run it in standard quests. So if you're running stuff on normal, you're not gonna get any keys.
You're not gonna get. I had forgot that champions could drop cheese. I completely forgot about that.
So if you just want a few things, I mean, you might not have to step foot in that graveyard if you're playing, 5-10 hours a week.
Right. The graveyard is fairly easy. It's fairly straightforward. It's like a little bit of a grind, I guess, but it's not bad. But it's just like, wow, that key drop rate this year. But
yeah, I don't know of any changes to it. I think you're probably just experiencing RNG.
Which is part of the course with me, so that makes sense.
You can totally go 3 runs and only get 2 keys.
Yep, and that can happen. What I experienced this weekend. So yeah.
Or you can do 3 runs and get 10 keys. It depends.
It's RNG, man. RNG, right?
RNG, I guess.
So the big thing, I think, from the patch, besides the Night Rebels coming in, is the active attacks rebalance. This is kind of why I had you on the show, because I needed somebody that could actually explain this. I think I kind of understand it, so let's talk about this a bit.
Sure. So basically what they're doing is there's a lot of active attacks throughout the enhancement trees, epic destinies. So something might do before this update, it might do, say, +3 weapon damage. So now after this, it's just going to do a percentage bonus. So, and that's based on 10% per weapon die. So if it was +3 weapon before the patch, it's now +30%. So the reason they're doing this is because it makes things scale better. So for example, if you did let's say you did a +3 weapon attack, it's not that same weapon benefit. You're going to get that full benefit right when you get that ability. So it's not going to scale like the percentage would, because the percentage is going to be a percentage of your total damage. So it just makes things scale better. Instead of things being based on weapon die, it's going to be based on a percentage of your whole damage. So that's kind of the simple way to explain things. Is it's going to help you, particularly when you get to end game, when those numbers get bigger, multiplying by percentage, it's gonna make those attacks better by end game.
So just the easiest way to think of it is if you have something that gives you, say, +4, that's going to be a 40%.
Yeah, if it's +4 weapon damage, it's
right.
Now +4.
I guess, yeah, +4 weapon damage, I should say.
Right.
Okay, well, that's...
It's just going to scale, but it's just going to scale better. Like prior, you were getting the entire benefit with the weapon right when you took it. Now it's going to get better and better as your character levels up, so it's going to scale with your character.
And I do believe that's why they said the major thing why they wanted to do that was so the scaling would be better, because there was some stuff at like end game that didn't make sense, the damage it was doing versus what it could have been or should have been doing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's all an attempt just to smooth out the progression curve here. They've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, it's
now in the game. It's just to make things scale better, and particularly in preparation for future level cap increases that makes certain plus weapon attacks maybe better than they were before, and gives you benefits at higher levels where they weren't before.
And then kind of that goes along with this, then we have some weapon scaling rebalance as well. It kind of goes hand in hand with the new W scale that they have.
Yep.
And this is where I was like kind of lost.
Yeah. So all this does, what it's doing is, let's say you have a weapon or something. It might be the base weapon die might be 2d6, for example.
Okay.
So before this, there would be some kind of different weapon, basically a plus weapon effect that would multiply your 2d6. So if you had, if it was 5 2d6, you'd get 5 2d6s, right? So with this new scaler, it's just going to standardize everything based on a new formula, essentially. So basically, the amount of weapon die you get before your base weapon die is going to be based on the minimum level of the weapon.
Okay.
So if you look at this graph, if the minimum level weapon is 10, it's going to have 1 weapon die now. So this, I don't think most players are going to see much difference at all. But if you look through a variety of different named items throughout the game, some might have gotten small buffs, some might have gotten small nerfs. So there were some weapons, in particular, things like the Barovian weapons and Ravenloft, people were talking about a lot, because prior to this patch, it had a 1.5 weapon scaler, and now with the new formula, it went down to 1. So it lost 0.5 weapon die, essentially. So Barovian weapons, for example, got a small nerf. I went through a variety of different weapons just to check. So Barovian Greatsword went from 1.5, I just talked about. Barovian Greatsword went from 1.5 2d6 to 1 2d6, so a slight nerf there. I went and I looked at some of the older raid weapons. Like I looked at the Tremor, the Maul from Baba's Hut, and I looked at a lot of Mauls and two-handed weapons because that's kind of what I play.
Right.
So the Tremor from Baba's Hut, a raid weapon, went from like 5 weapon die to 4.6, so that got a slight nerf. The Tilis Lumatis, which is a very popular, one of the best two-handed fighting weapons in the game. It's a falchion from Vision of Destruction, Legendary Vision Destruction raid. That got a slight nerf. It went from 5.5 to 5.3 weapon die. Some weapons I noticed got a buff. It seems like the Caught in the Web weapons got a significant buff, like the Cleaver, the Great Axe from Caught in the Web went from 2.5 weapon to 3.6. So it got a significant buff there. So maybe if you had a Caught in the Web weapon, look at that. Maybe you'll want to use that more as you're leveling through epics now. It seems like a lot of the weapons that were legendary got small buffs. Like I looked at the Attuned Dinobone Maul, for example. And by the way, these numbers I'm comparing, I was comparing the old numbers from the wiki to the new numbers as I looked at the weapons in games. So
Got ya. Okay.
So like the Attuned Dinobone Maul went from 5 weapon to 5.2. Outburst, which is the new raid greatsword from the Fire Over Moorgrave raid, went from 5 weapon to 5.4. So that got a slight buff. So all in all, I think it's mostly a nothing burger. I don't think it's really going to affect players that much. It just made some of the outliers a little more in line. It's not very impactful, I don't think, for most players. I think you're still going to use, you're still going to use the Barovian weapons probably at level 10. You're probably not going to make a lot of gear changes. So
Yeah, I mean, just from how you were explaining it there, it doesn't seem like, I mean, like 0.5 doesn't seem like it's going to make that huge of a difference.
Yeah, I guess maybe any cases where certain weapon was like broken. There was just a lot of small minor nerfs and minor buffs. Nothing that's going to, I don't think that the average player is going to see much of a difference or notice any difference in their gameplay. So I wouldn't be worried about it. And even certain weapons like the Epic Sword of Shadow, which is like the best great sword for leveling, throughout epics, that got even a buff. So some of the better weapons even got buffs. So I don't think it's gonna matter just that much.
Your miles may vary then, basically, is what it is.
Basically, it's a nothing burger. Don't worry about it. It just makes the scaling of the weapons a little bit smoother, but you're probably not going to see much difference. You're probably still going to use the same weapons you've always used while leveling.
In the patch notes, they do say the goal is to provide a way for items to scale upwards as the level cap continues to increase, and fix up some of the dead zones concentrated around high heroic levels and early epic levels where gear advancement isn't as meaningful.
Yeah, and some of these weapons, so I mentioned a lot of epic and legendary weapons. I didn't look as much at the heroic weapons. I should have done that. Those are just the ones I had time to look at yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're gonna, if you're really concerned about this, it's going to vary again on a weapon by weapon basis, because it's going to depend how much your weapon prior to this update differed from the new standard. So if you're concerned about it, maybe pull out your favorite weapons that you like using and look at the wiki. Apparently, I mean, at some point, I'm sure the wiki will get updated with the new numbers. As of right now, almost all the weapons, you can still see the old versions in the wiki. So maybe look at your item, your weapon in game. Make sure you unequip it first, so no bonuses apply. But unequip it, look at the weapon, and then look at the old version on the wiki. See the difference, but it's, again, a big nothing burger, I think. It's just going to make things scale better. They're doing a lot of these changes because I think it's pretty obvious we're going to get a level increase next year with whatever new expansion that comes out. It seems like DDO's plan right now is to do an expansion every year with a mini and a full expansion alternating for each year.
Yep, so that's what it seems like.
And yeah, based on several comments, it seems like with the full expansions, every full expansion, they're going to do a level cap increase. So we'll likely see a level cap increase next year, which is why we're seeing these changes. We're seeing preparation for that.
And then they did do, we're not going to go over all these because there's a bunch of them. There was some other balance changes, just like some classes got some slight things. Looking over it, it doesn't look like anything unless there's anything you think we need to talk about.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is if you look at the across the board on update 62, the spell, so imbues imbue effects were nerfed a bit. So the power scaling for imbues went from 100 to 75%. So there was a nerf to imbues across the board. I think that's probably the most notable thing from all these changes.
There will be links in the show note too, if you haven't looked at the patch notes for this patch yet. We'll have this linked. And then I think the other big thing that kind of was a little controversial was the Amber Temple got some changes, and there was some people that weren't too happy about what they did to the Amber Temple.
And I still have not played. I haven't played the new version yet.
I have not either.
I don't know why they did this.
I don't either. This seems like a complete waste of time, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I think, Drac. I think it was a complete waste of time. I mean, there's so many things I would have liked to see them do in this. I mean, even of quests, if they want to work on a quest, I can think of many other quests they could work on. Like go to Restless Isles and get some teleports in there to the quests, or go to Threnel and fix the NPC better. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is unless there was some I don't want to say like exploit, but there was something a lot of players were doing that caused something to happen. You know, like I said, I don't want to use the word exploit, but
I never did. I'm not overly familiar with it, but there was a way to like backdoor to the Lich to get.
Yeah, I know that that was
they took that away.
Big thing that they wanted to change.
I think that allowed you to only to not have to get all of the words.
Yes,
I think that's what it did. But they removed that. The other controversial thing they did was you have to go, as far as I understand, and again I haven't played the quest yet post the update, but apparently you have to go to that, like actually go to the in chest now. A lot of people just skip the in chest previously because there was a long cutscene, so there was a bit of a controversy because when it was initially presented on the preview server, you would have had to sit through that dialogue at the end. It's very long at the end of that quest, that cutscene.
It is. It was huge. You can skip that now, though.
Right. So that's one of the changes they made during from the different previews, is they added a way to skip that. So I think that kind of solved the most of the issue there. People just didn't want to have to sit through that long cutscene. So I think it's a lot better, and people are accepting of the change now. But I think I get the impression that this was just kind of fueled by passion by the developers. It just wasn't. It was a quest they just didn't weren't happy personally with the way it was written in game, and they just wanted to go back and fix it. It was kind of a passion thing. That's what I think about it, because it certainly from of the most best uses of developer time, it certainly is not up there.
And I liked it the way it was, because it kind of harkened back to like old school D&D, and I'm an old school D&D player.
Yeah.
So it kind of was like old school D&D hard challenge where, I mean, you had to figure stuff out and you had to do things, and it wasn't like just a straightforward, run through and then kill the end boss and you're done type quest.
Oh yeah, it was not linear, and definitely if you're first time in there, you're going to spend quite a bit of time in there just figuring out how it works, try to get all the different words to open the different doors, and there was a big degree of randomness to where certain words and things could appear. So I don't know, but apparently they reduced the randomness and it's more linear. They also added certain things, like certain markings, to make things I guess easier to get to find the correct way. And I know they reduced the flame skulls apparently, which that in there.
Kind of needed to be done, I think, because it seemed like there was a lot of flame skulls in that quest.
Yeah, I thought it was fine, but okay. I mean, players are never going to
right. Well,
it's you making a quest easier.
I mean, that is true.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know. I
think it was a waste of time. I think
I agree,
but whatever.
I mean, it seems like
they're passionate about it.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, good on them. I am kind of excited to go in and actually run it because like you, I haven't ran it yet since this change, but we'll see. And then the following raids will now have a small chance. Read, good luck, to drop +8 tomes. Hunter be hunted, the Dryad and the Demigod, Skeletons in the Closet, and Fire Over More Graves. So you might get a +8 tome.
Well, I like that because I'm a big raider. I raid every week, and we usually do like 8 to 10 raids on Saturday.
Wow, you were kidding me. I didn't realize you did that many.
Yeah, I do a stream every Saturday starting at 1 p.m. Eastern on my Twitch channel, and we start raiding at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we usually go till about 7, maybe 8, but there are times we'll go quite a bit longer than that. So, and I think on New Year's we might actually run every single raid in the game.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Maybe 2 sessions. So yeah, but yeah, I was happy to see this. I mean, it gives you more reason to run these quests. So to run these raids, so that's great. Especially like Fire of Morgrave, that's a really short one. So is Hunter Be Hunted is pretty short. So that's good if you're trying to look for a +8 tome, because as far as I know, other than the favor reward, this is the only way to get a +8 tome in the game, because the only other way prior to this was to grind out 7,500 favor, and then you could get a +8 tome of your choice. But now you actually have a way to find one in the chest, because 7,500 favor is like, that is a crazy amount of favor.
That's a lot of favor, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure it's in these 4 raids, it's going to be a microscopic chance, but at least you have more of a reason to run these. That's good. I like them adding anything to these chests just to give these raids more life.
Oh, exactly. I'm kind of hoping somebody does like a statistical analysis on this and try to figure out exactly what the drop rate is on these.
I don't know if that can be done.
That's true.
You have to have such a large sample size.
That is true.
The tiny drop rate that I don't. You'd have to run the raid like probably thousands of times.
It would all be very anecdotal, probably.
Yeah. So I think we're forever going to be. It's going to be a mystery us forever.
Good luck.
But it's
to
probably
anybody.
like 1%.
I would assume so. I would think it'd be less than that, probably.
Probably.
But I mean, it's out there, so yeah. And then, like you said, it's going to maybe drive people to these 4 particular raids more, just because you will maybe get the chance to get that +8. So
yep. So unless you're gonna do the 7,500 favor route or buy the very expensive tomes from the store, from the DDO store, this is going to be your only way to get those.
And then there was several other things, small little bug fixes and stuff. Nothing, I don't think that's too earth shattering, really. It's just minor little bug fixes, unless there's something you want to point out.
Nah,
but I didn't. I didn't see anything
minor stuff as far as I can tell.
So that was update 62, and then we just, as of this week, actually, yesterday, as we record this on Thursday evening, on Wednesday, October the 11th, we got update 62.1 that was released. Not a lot in this one. The big thing, which I am shocked they even let this become an issue, but expired ingredients and keys for the Night Revels will no longer be auctionable. Expired ingredients and keys currently listed on auctions will fall off at the end of their expiration period, and they will be unable to be relisted.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yes, I couldn't tell you how many I saw in the auction house, and I'm like, really, people? Like, that's kind of really crappy that players were doing that.
And I'm sure it's just something that they overlooked. So I don't blame SSG, really. It's just something probably very easy to overlook. But it's very, very glad they hopped on that and got that changed. Because it was really bad. I mean, to spend, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, whatever shards and get a stack of expired keys.
Like, like, especially if you were like a newer player, maybe, like, I'm sure like veteran players would know, you can't use that. But if you were fairly new to the game and you're thinking, oh, hey, I'll just go on the auction house and maybe buy some keys or some candies or whatever. And then you get them, and then I don't know, but I don't really think customer service would do anything for you in that case. I mean, I don't know for sure.
I have no idea.
But I don't either. But maybe. So that is now fixed, though. So you can rest assured anything you buy on the auction house now should be good, unless there is some, like I said, there still might be some that are on there. I guess they couldn't. I guess there was no way to pull them off the auction house completely, because it just said they will fall off the auction house at the end of their expiration. So they must not have a way to go back and retrofit that to the auction house.
Yeah, apparently not. I remember this happening before with, I think it was a gem. Maybe it was the Bloodstone. I can't remember. There was some gem that people were doing this to some years ago, and they also changed that. So, or they changed the name or something. So yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate things. And don't buy if there's still some there.
Exactly.
If you're buying any of that stuff, make sure it says it doesn't say rusted keys.
Yep, read very carefully.
Spoiled apples or whatever the name are. They're slightly different. The expired versions are slightly different, but they have the same icon.
Yeah, that's what kind of throws you off, is it's the same icon. So yeah, just read carefully. But as we said, this is now in the game, so that is fixed. And then the Belly of the Beast quest, acid damage in Sin Eater's belly has been toned down.
Yay!
I have not done this quest for a while.
I have. It was way harder.
Was it?
Way harder. harder because you were
Okay.
getting a lot. The acid damage was much higher than it was prior. So yeah, it was made it tough to a lot tougher to complete that quest. So I don't know how that happened. It was some weird coding thing where they changed something and for some reason
The halo effect that usually,
some Halo thing.
that happens a lot sometimes.
Yeah, so that's good. I don't think too many people were concerned because it's not a very popular quest, but it is part of some sagas. So I was happy. Some of those Evening Star sagas. So I was happy to see that change.
And then
I did try to solo it. I did die trying to solo it.
Wow, really?
I would have breezed through it before. Yeah, it was on a like a alt character, but yeah, it was much harder. So yeah,
The Sin Eater has developed a polyp or two in its stomach, they say, which gives you a few place of respite where you can step out of the acid. So yeah, like I'm gonna have to go. Like I said, I haven't done this quest for a long time. And then soul stones inside the belly will automatically be moved back outside after the surviving party members successfully escape Sin Eater.
Yeah, I haven't played this one since 62.1, but yeah, I don't really know why they needed to make more places outside of the acid. I think they just fix the acid, it'd be fine. Yeah. But okay.
And then just like the regular 62, there's just a couple of little small things. Nothing other than I do think Inferno Shot, Dispelling Shot, and Shatter Mantle Shot now all properly set to 30% damage, which I noticed that on my Ranger. I thought this Dispelling Shot does not seem to be doing the damage that it should. So I played before this update, so.
I'm not familiar with those. Are those is that one of the plus weapon attacks that just weren't scaling?
Yes.
Or was that just a flip? Okay. So yeah, that's probably just I think there was a few of these that like Avenging Cleave, they weren't giving their
and that's Avenging Cleave and Spinning Ice are both at their 40% damage too. So yeah, I think that was just a few that were, and then Whirlwind Attack now has its correct damage scaler in its tooltip to plus 20%. It just always cracks me up when they fix stuff with like the tooltips, because I'll be honest, I don't read tooltips that much unless it's something I'm really looking to see. Maybe it's just me and how I play, but I just find it interesting that they're always like fixing these little small things in tooltips.
Some of them are important, like for example, if it's displaying your DC wrong or something, but I don't read them too often, but I do look at them occasionally for things like that.
So that is update 62.1. So it's been a little while now, but back the last Fridays at 4, which of course is community manager Cordovan's weekly Friday stream. He had a little chat with Seb. This was broadcasted on September 29th, and Seb was pretty talkative, as Seb sometimes is, and he dropped quite a few little interesting nuggets, and Axel actually did a great video on this, which I'm going to link in the show notes. The link I have in there now is for the actual Fridays at 4 video, but I will, before I post this episode, I am going to put a link to your video, because you did a great job breaking all this down, and you actually gave timestamps, and it was an amazing video that you did.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy dissecting those and reading between the lines and making some predictions, and yeah.
So
they're fun. I hope they do more of those.
I do too.
Those are always nice.
I do too. And it seems like every time Seb is on the Fridays at 4, he usually talks more than, like, we've had him on the podcast several times, and we've gotten some stuff out of him, but he just seems to be a lot more talkative when he's talking to Jerry. So
yeah, probably, because he's probably he's got his guard lower.
Right.
He's not talking. He's talking to.
Right.
One of his employees. So
right, exactly. So I just picked out a couple. I mean, there was quite a bit that was in the video, but I just chopped a few things out that I thought were the most interesting, we'll say. The first one is Legendary Chronoscope is coming. It was sort of officially announced now.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of unofficially announced.
Yeah. Cordovan made a boo-boo.
He did.
Yeah, it was on his live stream and accidentally spilled the beans a couple months ago. Sorry, Cordovan. But but yeah, we're getting, because they said earlier this year in Producer's Letter it's gonna be some kind of legendary raid, and we've been wondering which one is going to be, but it's going to be Chronoscope. I think it's a weird choice.
Very weird choice.
Yeah, because for anyone listening who doesn't know, they did do is a part of the Shard Seal Scroll Pass, which was, when was it? Like a year ago, year and a half ago, something like that. Yeah, they already created legendary versions of all this loot that you can get now. So it begs the question, why Chronoscope? I think that most overall, I think what players wanted was Tower Despair and it made the most sense. I'm assuming they went Chronoscope just because it would have been with Tower Despair. It would have been a lot of work on the loot side, just because they would need to make new ring belt sets. In there's so many of those. If you look at the old heroic loot list for that, there's like a belt ring set for every single enhancement tree. So it would have been a ton of work. So that's what I'm guessing is the reason why they went Chrono. It's okay. It's an okay choice. I mean, sure, I'll take what I can get, but it's one of these raids that, it's still, even though it's an very old raid, it's still run a lot just because it is a very, I think it's the first, it is the first raid you can run on heroics at low level. What is it, level 7 or something? So it's popular for that reason. It's still the epic version is very popular because you can get it's a good token farm for greater tokens. Like that, and the Demon Queen raid are like the best greater token farm. So it's still popular. It's still run a lot. It's even a good XP run in Epic. So I would have rather seen them do something like Tower Despair that's never run these days. So, but whatever, I'll take it. It's a raid that I like and a lot of players like. We just would have wanted to see Tower Despair, but okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, and any new legendary version of a raid is good, right?
Yeah, I hope they do add some more things to the loot list, because again, we've already have legendary versions of all its loot. So
I would think they would, right?
So I would assume they would.
Yeah.
Add a few things, add some augments, add some new gear. Maybe hopefully make tomes +8 tomes drop in this raid, like they have in the 4 newest ones. I hope. I don't know if they'll do that, but yeah, hopefully we see some new stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll be running it right when it releases.
And then we're going to get, and I'm going to do air quotes that nobody can see because this is not a video podcast, but we're getting challenge dungeons later this winter. It's going to be a dungeon pack. And he didn't really elaborate what the challenge part meant. He did say that we're going to have to figure out ways to unlock these.
He mentioned finding clues, and I don't really know what he means by that exactly. It sounds like it's going to be in-game only stuff, so there's apparently not going to be heroic support for these. I'm assuming they're doing that just so they can, from a design standpoint, they can make certain design decisions that they couldn't do otherwise if they had to make a heroic version. That's my assumption. I could be wrong, but I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like it's a little different, something a change of pace. So yeah, I think it's cool.
And then, my only question was, okay, when you say challenge, is it like the difficulty is going to be challenging, or is it like a challenge like the why am I drawing a blank?
Like the Kenneth challenge.
Yes,
like the time challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yes.
So my assumption is that he meant challenge in terms of difficulty.
That's what I assumed too.
He wasn't 100% clear on that. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure from the way he was describing
that would make the most sense, though, right?
Yes.
Is like
he talked throughout the Q&A. He said something like the only way we previously challenged players is through the Reaper system, so now we're going to do it with the challenge dungeon, something along, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along that effect. So I'm pretty sure he means challenge.
So I'm pretty interested with these. I am definitely going to be interested to see that and see how fast players will figure out the clues, because anytime they have ever done anything like that where players have to find stuff, the community is amazing, and that stuff is figured out fairly quickly.
Well, I don't know if that's what he meant by like a community challenge, or if he just meant like,
see, I don't know.
I don't know. We don't know.
He kind of said it one way, and then later on he said it to where it seemed like it was just the challenge was going to be hard. So I'm assuming we'll get more information on these soon. Should we not? When did we get a last producer's letter? Should we not get another producer's letter soon?
We should. Yeah, aren't they doing it every 6 months?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I am thinking the last one was in March?
March or April, something like that. So so maybe we'll find out more of the producer's letter. I don't know. Hopefully,
maybe
we'll see.
I mean, we'll see, because the last producer's letter was basically. It was basically, okay, we're going to do stuff.
We're going to do stuff. Then you guys are awesome and keep playing the game. Thank you.
You guys are going to enjoy the stuff we do. The stuff we do is going to be very stuff worthy. There's going to be a lot of stuff. So if you all enjoy the stuff.
That's pretty much, it sounds like you're reading that producer's letter word for word right there. That's about what it was. And then the PAX East 2023 dungeon is targeted to be released by the end of the year. You can actually watch Nobob as he's designing and making this dungeon. It's a weekly stream that is over on the official DDO Twitch stream. It is really interesting to watch the art of making a dungeon, we'll say.
Yeah, props to SSG for doing that. I think that's really cool. Them creating kind of a little show. It's not really for me. I'm not really that interested in it. I'm not into video game development, anything like that. But I know a lot of DDO players are, so that's cool. Seems like it was very popular. At least the first episode was very popular on Twitch. So yeah, and on YouTube as well. The VODs are on YouTube. So yeah, if you like that stuff, go watch.
And then Planescape may be coming? Question mark.
Yep.
Again, this was kind of vague too, but
yeah. Well, go ahead. I don't want to.
Well, they did a while back. They had the player survey that hey, which interests you out of these? And Seb said the highest vote getters were Mythdrainer and Planescape.
And I think he also mentioned Ravenloft.
And Ravenloft, yes. Yeah, more Ravenloft. Which,
the way he was talking about it, though, I mean, this is another read between the lines thing, but it sounded like they were leaning towards, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank, Planescape.
Yes, Planescape. And he did kind of mention the reason why they would like to do Planescape is because WotC, that is the next books that are coming out for tabletop, is the revamped Planescape setting. So it would kind of make sense for, them to kind of jump and pigtail on that. So we'll see. Like I said, he didn't really announce anything. He just said they're interested in doing Planescape, and I'm sure there's, they have to get the permission of WotC because, they always have to run anything they do by WotC. But so maybe Planescape, which...
Yeah, I voted for the Astral. I think there was an Astral Plane option. I voted for that. Well, we kind of got that in, that's spoilers, but we kind of got that in the Morgrave expansion. Yeah. So kind of a
little bit. Yeah. So we'll see. Again, stay tuned for more information on that. And then the next archetype is probably going to be Barbarian. Then again, didn't really announce this, but they heavily kind of lean towards Barbarian.
Yeah, they didn't confirm it, but yeah, right. The way Severlin was talking, he very heavily leaned into Barbarian being the next archetype. So yeah, that'd be cool. And I mentioned this in my video, but apparently they also, and this was based on a dev comment on a previous Lamania forum, they have something planned for Great Clubs as well. So I don't know if that's going to tie into the Barbarian archetype or not. Maybe. That's my prediction.
One would think so, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it would make sense, but that's just a guess on my part. There's been nothing confirmed other than they are going to do something for Great Club, and they are going to do probably a Barbarian archetype next. So that should be cool. If it comes out pretty soon, I'd like to roll up a new character on a different server and actually try it out, because I'm trying to get a character at in-game on a variety of different servers right now, just so I can host raids on different servers. So
there you go. Cool.
I'll probably roll it if it comes out in the somewhat near future.
Then the Reaper Tree revamp is targeted for next year now. That has been talked about quite a bit. I can't remember exactly why he said. Basically, there's just other stuff that is taking precedence over this, but they are going to redo Reaper Tree revamps.
Yeah, they've been talking about this for a lot.
Yeah, a long time, so
they haven't confirmed it, but for those of y'all listening, my prediction here, and I think this is very likely to happen, is they're probably going to get rid of the Reaper trees and replace it with some kind of rank system. So like, instead of getting points to spend in the trees, you just, like, everyone would get the same stuff as you level up through the different ranks. That way they can implement some kind of power sharing system that they've been talking about, again, a lot in these Q&As, where you can basically, like, say you're at Reaper rank 50 and someone's at Reaper rank 1, maybe they can share like half of your power or something like that, just to help bridge the gap between like brand new players and like veterans who have just years and years of power. So without like taking away all that unique advantage from the veterans. So that's probably what's going to happen. Again, nothing confirmed, but that's probably coming probably next year. We'll see.
Again, stay tuned.
Yep.
You're going to hear that a lot. Daybreak All Access. Don't look for DDO and Lotro, for that matter, to ever be added to the Daybreak All Access pass. Sev said probably never going to happen because it would require a lot of internal work with systems and the way stuff is handled. So even though Daybreak is the publisher, don't look for DDO and Lotro to ever be added to that. I know there's a lot of people that ask about that, which, if you're not familiar with what Daybreak All Access is you pay, I don't even remember how much it is now. You pay so much a month, and then you basically have access to a big list of games, and you get like the VIP or whatever the particular game calls it, access and all the perks and everything for that game included in your all access pass. So people kind of said, hey, why don't Lotro and DDO be included in that? And I guess it's just too much work because of the way systems work.
Yeah, they said it was some kind of account thing. But that'd be cool if it was a part of it.
Yeah, I mean,
it get more people trying the game.
Kind of would, but then kind of to go along with that, two-factor authentication, they're still working on that, but they found some bug/issue that they have to work through before they can actually get it going, which I am all for having two-factor authentication. So I hope they can work that out.
Yeah, I hope they bring that out soon. More account security.
And then the big kind of controversial thing that has happened, which we've had quite a few things, but this one kind of gathered a lot of talk on the forums. Raid loot and the bind status. It's not going to change, folks.
It's not going to change.
I get it. I get why people want it to be account wide. That'd be amazing. Never going to happen.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're aware, but the first, I think week or so after the new Fire over Moorgrave raid came out, there was a bug that all the raid loot was bound to account, and you could re-roll the chest as well, which do things you can't do in raids. You're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to be able to do that. Exactly.
Yeah, just something they overlooked. So I think that's what got the conversation starting a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. It's not a hill I would die on, but yeah, I kind of agree with bound to character. I actually did a poll on my YouTube channel community tab, and most people want bound to account, but I kind of like bound to character just because it does give you that incentive to roll alts more. I mean, I mentioned this in the video, but we already have raid runes for all the new raids. Except for a few situations like the optional loot and skeletons in the closet, you can buy everything with raid runes that you get as a guaranteed drop at in chests and raids, and those raid runes are bound to account. So it's already not an issue, really. So you can still like pass those runes to a different character and get the weapon or item, whatever you want on that character. So it's not a big deal. But I like bound to character. It gives you a reason to run alts, and there has been over time, I think. Less and less reasons to run alts as DDO's gotten older, and I like there being a few things, few reasons to actually run a character that you may not be your best character, but you may want a certain item on that character. And it also makes it so people are more willing to pass loot in the chest. I think if everything was bound to account, people would be much more prone to hoard things rather than to pass you something in the chest. So yeah. I like it, but I want to die on the hill.
Yeah, like I said, it's never going to happen. So
yeah, and it's always been that way. I can't imagine they would change, especially since they introduced what was that item in the store? Something that makes one item.
Oh, the wish of inheritance, or
I think that's
something like that.
Yeah, and that's going to be the main use for that item.
Yeah,
so especially since that item was introduced, I think that kind of kills any chance for it.
Yeah,
but, hey, I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to change it.
Then it was brought up. Somebody asked, "Hey, why don't you sell DDO merch like shirts or other items?" And the easy answer to that is they really can't due to licensing agreements and other people that sell D&D merch. It's kind of like they would have to work all that out, and it's kind of complicated is the short answer of it.
Yeah, so Seb actually mentioned that they didn't want to compete with other...
Yeah.
I don't... Okay, yeah, I guess I get that, and then maybe there are some legal reasons. I mean, I would love to see it. I wonder if they could could they not at least sell like a SSG t-shirt?
That I think they could.
Surely there's something they could sell.
I would assume they could do the SSG shirts because, I mean, it's their own company, and you're not really showing off D&D or anything because you're just showing. So yeah, I'll have to try to get an official answer on why they don't do, if they can't do the DDO merch, why don't they just do like SSG shirts?
Yeah. Or maybe, I mean, maybe there's certain things in game, like certain monsters that aren't super popular or very well known in DDO, or NPCs or something they could put on.
Yeah.
I mean, surely there's something.
I would think.
I mean, if nothing else, I don't see any reason they couldn't do an SSG t-shirt, but I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm sure there's legal issues they would have to work out, but I don't know. I will maybe send an official question into the powers that be as SSG and try to find out a little more on that. And so stay tuned for that. I will see what I can find out from them. And then there was a question that was asked, hey, are we ever going to get a Linux client? Short answer, no, because they don't have the resources to support it.
And I don't use Linux, but apparently there's a way to get it running through, I think it's called Wine.
Wine, yes, you can.
So you can do it. It's just not officially supported.
It doesn't run the greatest because I have a Linux box and I've done it. It's kind of... you kind of have to have a little bit of tech knowledge to do it. It's not like plug and play, we'll say. So you do, but I mean, if you're running Linux, you're kind of like a techie anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah. Just don't ever look for like an official Linux client to come out. But
I would imagine this is well less than 1% of their player base uses Linux. So
easily.
I completely understand why they don't support it. It's not
easily
worth their time especially with a company like SSG with very, they've got very limited.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And then, so we ever going to get an auto follow command? And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically if you're in a group with somebody, you can target a player and it's usually like /follow, and then your character will just follow that character around. So like you could say, hey, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. And if you're running to a dungeon through a wilderness, you would just follow along behind the person that you were following. No, we're never going to see that because they're worried about multi-boxing.
And actually you can do that in game. There is a
you?
Yes, you can. There is a third-party application called Dungeon Helper, which does have a follow plugin.
I did not know that.
Yes, there is, and there's a decent amount of people that use it, and it's one of those things where I would never use it because I think it probably is a violation of the terms of service, but SSG's been asked a lot about this, and Cordovan actually was recently asked about it, and he gave somewhat of an answer on Twitch, but I've actually sent them messages asking like, hey, can we use this? Will we get banned? But when I sent them a message, the response was, we have no comment. So they've never, as far as I know, they've never really said definitively, yes, you can use this, you will not get banned, or no, don't use that, you will get banned. They're probably something where I doubt they'll do anything. I can't imagine at this point they would ban people, but you can't be guaranteed that they won't. And that's why I would never use it, because I think they probably could if they wanted to, that they probably wouldn't touch it. But it's definitely a gray area, if nothing else.
Something else I'm going to have to...
So use at your own risk.
Exactly.
You do use that plugin, use at your own risk.
I'm hoping to have either Tolero or Seb on at some point. So maybe I'll throw that question at either one of them and see if I can get any answers out of them.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that was a thing, actually.
Yep. Dungeon Helpers, the name of it. It has other features as well. Like there's a legendary green steel planner. There's a way actually to do account-wide inventory search with that plugin as well. But that's, again, gets into a dicey area because are they getting your info? I mean, they say they don't, but since that's why I'd love to see an official version of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so we know that for sure. That I'm sure all the people. I mean, I haven't heard of anyone having a bad issue with Dungeon Helper or anything like that. But it would be nice if there was an official way, so we would know, like for sure, that our info was secure.
And then the big talking point in the video game industry, the tabletop board game industry, the role playing game industry right now, basically just in general, is AI, artificial intelligence. So, we ever going to get AI in the game? Like, will we ever get like an AI dungeon master or other types of AI? No, there's no plans to do that, which I hope they stick to that.
Sure. I know nothing about AI in video game development, but okay, sure.
Yeah.
I think what was the issue there, that it would, like take people's jobs or something.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Exactly, and that's why
they came out and said no.
I hope they say no, and I hope they stick to that. They will never do that because I mean, AI has its like good points, but there's, in my opinion, and this might be controversial, I don't know, podcast at ddoplayers.com if you want to send me an email and tell me how dumb I am. I think AI could be very bad in just that aspect that you're going to start taking people's jobs, because we've seen it in the tabletop industry where some of the art that are going in games now are AI created. So artists aren't getting work because why do you need them? You can just throw something at an AI and it'll churn out art for you.
Yeah, I'll allow you. That's understandable.
So most companies are coming out with a firm, this is our policy on AI. So as of right now, which it doesn't sound like there's any plans to changing this, SSG is not going to use AI at all. So we'll see. And then the final thing from the talk, as I said, there was way more in it. I am going to link both videos. I'm going to link the the original, and then our Axel's video, which basically sums all of this up, and plus a lot of other stuff that we didn't talk about here. VIP perks update. Is that coming? Sure, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
It could be. They want to.
It's coming. It's
coming.
Just been delayed for a variety of reasons. But yeah, delayed probably next year, but we'll see.
So I just hope it's better than the things they said was going to be in it, because wow.
Yeah, and they did do the month of gold rolls to kind of tie people over. And I think that just ended, I believe.
Yeah, I think
2.1. I think
so. Yes, I think it just ended. If not, it's going to end real soon. But I think it actually did end with that update. So that is a look at our DDO game news, which we had quite a bit. Then, if you are a newer listener to the podcast, usually after we talk about DDO, we talk about stuff that's going on from what we call From the Dungeon, which is basically role-playing game news. There really wasn't anything to talk about this week. Then we also talk about On the Tabletop news, which is, you guessed it, news from the board game industry itself. Nothing really to talk about with that this week either. We also normally talk stuff on the screen, which could be movies, TV shows, video games, anything like that. We got a little bit of that news this week. And that is to do with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. It is actually back in development. If you remember, we have talked about this on the show for a long time. This was announced way back in 2019. It was supposed to be released in 2020. This, of course, is the sequel to Bloodlines, which if you've never played Bloodlines, do yourself a favor. Play Bloodlines. It is an amazing role-playing game. It's, of course, vampire-based. It's set in the world of Vampire the Masquerade, but such a good game. So the sequel was supposed to come out in 2020. Publisher Paradox Interactive said, it's coming out, and then it got delayed, and then early 2021 it got delayed again, and then they stopped taking pre-orders on it, which everybody thought, oh, that is the kiss of death, this game is dead. And it sounds like it kind of was dead for a while, but then it came back as it's a new studio now that is going to develop the game. So the old studio they basically got rid of, they threw everything out and they started completely over. To January 2024, we're going to get a full gameplay reveal. We just kind of got some teasers now, but January 2024, we're going to get a full gameplay reveal, and then it is supposed to be out fall of 2024. I'm guessing probably this time. That would make sense, right around Halloween, fall of 2024. So Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines back in development. We'll get more information soon. And I did check today when I got home from work. You cannot pre-order it yet again, though. So if you haven't pre-ordered it yet, you cannot pre-order it, but I'm assuming they'll open those up soon. So I'm excited for it. I said I loved the first two games. Nice.
I haven't played any of them,
so
but
we'll
I want to play some the next few weeks. I want to start playing some horror games. So
yeah, they're so good. Yeah, I would definitely recommend Redemption, which was the first game. It was okay. It was good, but Vampire the Masquerade was amazing, so I would definitely go with that. And then if you get the Steam version, that includes some community patches. There was after the game, the studio that made it, Troika, basically went bankrupt and closed up. There was a big community push, and people created some patches to fix some of the bugs that Troika never got to fix because the studio unfortunately went bankrupt and closed. So I do believe the Steam version, it's either the Steam version or the GOG version, or it might be both of them, do include all those patches. So I need to play it again. So yeah, so I'm just excited to see that this is actually back in development. It's just kind of amazing that they just scrapped any work that I'm assuming, because it's been in development since 2019. I'm assuming it was in development when they announced it the first time. So you've got a lot of work that probably went into this game that they were just like, nope, we're starting completely over, which is crazy to me that that's even a thing that they did. But
yeah, that always baffles me when big companies do that.
Right.
Like, I think Nintendo just did that with, what is it, Metroid Prime 4?
Yeah, yeah, they did.
So I'm like, wow.
It's crazy. And it's like, because, like, that could have been cheap. Like, they sunk a lot of money into this, and they're like, oh, well.
Okay.
Live and learn, So, all right.
I don't know.
So, yeah, we will talk about that more when we get more information, too. So, but Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 still coming out. So, with that, let's jump into our week in gaming. I will go first here, and then I'll hand it over to you. Did do some DDO. We did the Night Rebels. That was with Evil Beaker, Beavis, and Safara. We ran, we ran the graveyard several times, and that's when I noticed I was like, I'm not getting any keys. But luckily, thankfully, they were getting some pretty decent key drops, so they were sharing keys with me after we were out of there, so we could all run the quest. I think we ran all of the dungeons maybe 3 times.
Oh, okay.
So, and we were doing them 5 levels over to get the max, and we were at level, I think Beaker was level 26, I want to think, and he was the highest. Everybody else was we were all 24, 25, 26. So we were running them 5 over to get the max ingredients. So chunk of what I need for the steed.
Nice.
God,
yeah, the if nothing else, the first time bonuses in there are bonuses are crazy.
It was insane. I leveled just from running those quests.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
This XP is a thing.
Oh yeah,
this is easily the biggest event. A lot of people just farm the quest for XP over and over, because if you can get do the math. I think even something like Under New Ravagement is what is it, level 37, something like 25, 30k XP or something.
Yeah, it's
and you can
insane.
do it in a couple minutes. So you can get in. Just do whatever 30 times that is. It's what is that? If it's 30k, what is that? 900,000 XP.
About 900,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's. I was surprised at how much XP those were given, actually. But
oh yeah, a lot of people will do just multiple lives during Night Rebels.
I can see why.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I did this week was got into Baldur's Gate 3. I was playing in the beta and the early access, and then the press key that I got, they sent me a different key that turned the game into the full version. So I wasn't sure if they were going to do that, but they did. So look for a review of that coming soon. I don't know, maybe a couple hours in. So
awesome. It looks great.
It is great.
I just don't have time.
It is so good. Yeah.
I have some friends that are playing it, and everyone seems to love it.
Yeah, I haven't had much time either, unfortunately. That's why I haven't played it much, but
I really wanted to play some of that and maybe Starfield, but I just have not had the time.
I installed Starfield. That's as far as I got with that. So
Yeah.
I haven't installed. Yeah. I just, I just don't have time to. There's just so many good games coming out.
Oh, I know.
And it's how do you but I want to do Night Rebels because I want that steed, but I want to play Baldur's Gate, but I want to play Starfield, and I want to play all these other games. And I'm like, good grief.
I know. Stupid days only having 24 hours.
Exactly.
Why don't they have 30?
And then 8 hours of work in that. Killing 8 hours of my day having to work. It's what?
Well, the worst part is sleeping. What a waste of time.
Right. See, exactly. That's
I hate having to sleep.
That's exactly it.
So much done of it into the sleep.
Cuts into my video game time. Dang it. How about you? What'd you do this week?
Not this week. Not really anything, but some DDO to be honest. Ran quite a bit of night Revels this past weekend. Did an epic reincarnation on my main character this past weekend. Other than that, that's basically it. Just a little bit of DDO. I want to get to playing some horror games for the next week, like for the season. Like I want to play. I haven't played the Resident Evil 1 remake. I want to start streaming that, I think, and I might play through one of my favorite games here soon, which is Zombie U when it was released on Wii U, which is like my favorite horror game ever. But
that game is so good.
Yeah, both of those games are awesome. I want to get to playing those here soon. But yeah, but for this week, just a little DDO. I'm working on a couple characters. Like I have a character on Orion because I want to raid with some people there. I just been playing my character on Sarlona a little bit because I was this past week because I've been trying to host raids on different servers. So I hosted raids on Sarlona this past week. So that's what I've been doing and playing my main character on Thelanis, which is my main server. So that's what I've been doing.
All right, cool. We do have 13 supporters right now over on our Patreon. If you would like to help support DDO players, simply go over to our donations page. You can support the Players Alliance, which is the network we are a part of. Your money is used for podcast hosting, website hosting, to pay for our live shows, all of that. If you would like to donate without using Patreon, you can do that. And several people have done that, and we appreciate it very much. Just shoot me an email, Drac at DDO Players, and we'll talk about your options. You got several options, but we do appreciate it. Any help you can give us is great and much appreciated. We also would appreciate any reviews you would like to give us. You can do that on any of the podcasting sites of your choice. So whatever podcast app you use, leave us a review. Let us know. That does help us a lot. And I know a couple people have asked me about Spotify. I am working on getting the show on Spotify. I am not sure the issue. Every time I try to submit the show, they're telling me something's wrong with our RSS feed. And I know there is not, because we're on every other podcasting app and podcast pusher known to man. So our RSS feed is fine, but according to Spotify, it's not. So I'm trying to get some support from Spotify, and they're not very helpful at this point. So hopefully the podcast will be on Spotify. I know a lot of people have asked about that. I am working on it. I just got to figure out what it wants exactly. We don't have any featured comments this week. You can leave a comment on the show notes over on the website. You can also leave a comment on the YouTube. This podcast is posted on YouTube as well. We like to feature some comments on any of our posts, our YouTube. So go ahead and do that. You can also give us an email if you'd like, podcast@ddoplayers.com. Anything, if you have any questions, any comments about the show or anything, just shoot us an email. We would love to read it on the show and have a little conversation going. And you can also follow Axel several different places. I'm going to let you go ahead and plug. You can do a good long plug for your Twitch and your YouTube. Give us all of the pertinent information, and I will insert links into the show note before the show goes up.
Sure. So you can find me, Axel's DDO channel on YouTube. Been doing a lot of videos. I've been doing videos for DDO since 2014, so there's so many videos there. I do a lot of news videos, a lot of guides, a lot of things like that. I mean, I do other stuff like DDO music covers as well. You can find me on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/AxelAlexK, which is AxelAlexK. I do, mostly it's me streaming DDO and raiding with friends and things, but I also stream other games from time to time, and occasionally I'll do like a music show or something where I play a bunch of DDO's songs live, things like that. So do a variety of different things there. I'm pretty active on Twitter as well. On Twitter, I'm also AxelAlexK, so you can find me there as well.
Like I said, I will put all of those links in the show note, so you'll just have to go click it, and you can find Axel over on either one of those of your choice. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up for the evening?
I think that's it. I just want to say thanks for having me. I'm a huge fan of your show. Every time you all put out an episode, I download it and listen to it while I'm commuting in my car to work.
We appreciate that, and I appreciate it. I know we were kind of talking before the show, and I have said this on the podcast before too, but we are like a very different DDO podcast. So I appreciate just how everybody has like embraced us, and because we're usually, it depends what's going on with DDO. Like this this show was more DDO focused, but sometimes we're about, 15, 20 minutes DDO, and then the rest is, we're talking about tabletop or RPGs or comic books or movies or what have you. So we're kind of a weird hybrid, and, we don't tend to skew towards like a hardcore player either, because we're like casual players. So I just want to thank the DDO community. Like, ever since we've been going, you guys have just embraced us, and it's great. And I appreciate it, and appreciate you willing to come on. And like, usually anybody I ask that wants to come on the podcast will say, I would love to. So, and I am going to be hitting up more people because I plan to get some more guests on here. And hopefully my goal is to try to get the dumpster fire of my life in order, and I will have a more consistent podcast.
Yay.
So
more episodes.
Hopefully we'll be back to weekly, or at least bi-weekly. I apologize. It's all my fault that we haven't been, but
well, life comes first.
Exactly.
Okay,
it does. It does. You can listen to us live when we do record the show. Usually this one wasn't live, but usually we record. You can find that link over at ddoplayers.com/live. The DDO Players News podcast records various times. See the previous comment about strange things happening with me. But on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we have our sister show, which is Lotro Players News. They are basic, just like us, other than all they talk about is Lotro and anything Tolkien related. So they're more Lotro focused. They do talk about, like, if there's a new Lord of the Rings movie or TV show or something that comes out, they'll talk about that, but it's a little more Lotro focused show. So check them out if you play SSG's other game. As I said, you can join us for our live shows, ddoplayers.com/live for all of that. And we're gonna wrap it up. So thank you for joining us. And as always, I sure hope the RNG is a lot kinder to you than it always is to me.